So after 3 entries into the J.J. Abrams rebooted Star Trek universe, I finally enjoyed one. The one that's not directed by J.J. Abrams. So Star Trek Beyond is the latest entry in the Star Trek franchise, space exploration, all that jazz. Kirk and crew, they fall into a trap, of course, and the Enterprise gets destroyed. Now they're on this alien planet, they gotta get off, and they gotta stop the bad guy from doing something bad. I actually kinda enjoyed this movie, somewhat. It surprised me a bit, because the first trailer was pretty bad, the one set to Sabotage by the Beastie Boys. I was like, oh no, what are they doing to Star Trek? Because I hated the last 2 J.J. Abrams movies. Especially the second one, because the second one you could drive trucks through all the plot holes in that movie. And you cast Benedict Cumberbatch as the most generic villain ever, and he's a recast of Khan from the last one, even though Khan's Spanish. And you cast a white guy. The whitest guy ever, Benedict Cumberbatch. The first entry was okay. It was just, an excuse to do, make another Star Trek movie, make a prequel, reboot, time travel crap to show the younger characters and get a new cast because you don't have to pay them as much as you would have to pay William Shatner to come back. But the characters were supercharged in that movie. Spock's cold and logical, so they amped that up to the 10th degree. Kirk's a womanizer, so they had him sleeping with a ton of women and being just a jerk. And I didn't like that too much. I'm not that big of a fan of Star Trek. I like some stuff. I'm in the middle of the original series, and I'm in the middle of the one with Patrick Stewart. The first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie was fine. It did what it needed to. And, the next one should be the one where you tell your original story, okay? The first one had all the fan service stuff, Now you tell your original story, which is a lesson J.J. Abrams still hasn't learned because of The Force Awakens. Thankfully, Justin Lin, the director of some of the Fast and Furious movies, has taken over and finally does an original story. It's a generic story, don't get me wrong, but at least it's new to this universe. It doesn't, do catchphrases or bring back old characters or anything. It's a new villain. And he's actually pretty compelling. It's Idris Elba, and Idris Elba is a great actor, so that's a reason to get invested. Justin Lin is also better at handling action than J.J. Abrams. There's a lot of well-crafted action scenes, and they felt more grounded than J.J. Abrams' directing work. And there's no lens flares, thank God, because those are so freaking annoying. I hate it so much. It pissed me off when it showed up in The Force Awakens when Kylo Ren's looking at the Star Killer.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, get that off. My biggest issue with the movie is that the story's generic. Very, very generic. Bad guy wants to do a bad thing, good guys have to stop him, and that's pretty much it. There's a very, very late game twist that finally, because throughout the movie you don't know what the bad guy is or what he wants. And finally at the end you get some more context, and it's okay. It should have come halfway into the movie. It feels very rushed at the end. There's some forced, anti-military imagery because Star Trek's in this utopian future, and it's about the villain wants the human race to struggle, and everybody else wants the universe to hold hands and be friends. The cast does a fine job as usual, especially Simon Pegg as Scotty. Simon Pegg's a really great actor and a really great writer. He actually co-wrote the script to this one, which is probably another reason why I enjoyed this more than the last 2 Star Trek movies. I really don't like Zachary Quinto as Spock. I know he has to live up to Leonard Nimoy, but Leonard Nimoy is Spock, okay? He delivers a much better performance. Zachary Quinto always just seems annoyed and angry when he's just supposed to be, emotionless. And he plays it very, very poorly. But the only characters, given actual stuff, characterization to do outside of the main plot are Kirk and Spock. They don't really have character arcs. They kind of just end up where they were in the last movie. In this movie, in the beginning, they're both trying to get out of the Federation to do their own things, but they just end up back where they started. So what was the point, other than to add some unnecessary drama? An issue I had with this movie is I just did not care what was happening. It's an original story, and it's, generic, and I don't care about these new characters, even though, you can call them Kirk and Spock all you want, but you have to play them like Kirk and Spock and give them those character traits to make me care. You have to make me care in this movie. I don't care what happens to these people, okay, no matter what you put them through. Just because they're named Kirk and Spock, I'm not going to care what happens to them, unless you give me a reason. The stakes were never felt in this movie. The drama felt very artificial. The bad guy's gonna attack this generic place. It's not even Earth. They mentioned some vague line, oh, maybe he could attack Earth after. But he's not attacking Earth, so I don't care. I have no reason to care about this base station. One thing this movie did do very well is it handled the passing of Leonard Nimoy pretty well. There's some nice tribute to him and some nice fan service at the end, and that was pretty well handled. Also, Anton Yelchin had a good presence in the plot because he recently passed on, and that was very tragic. And he actually had more to do in this one than he did in the last one. He was a very good actor. I'm very sad that he's gone. So rest in peace, Anton Yelchin and Leonard Nimoy. Thank you for all your acting contributions. Don't see Ghostbusters 2016. Bye.